Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the video games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of video games. We are here every Monday on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. I'm joined once again this week by the reigning Dimp Digital gaming quiz champion. It's Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
I'm fantastic.
Putting the boys are here, aren't we?
Yeah.
We'll let people in. We'll expose the business. This is being recorded directly after our last episode because we've been meaning to do this and haven't done it. And
so we're just doing it.
We got to start a little bit earlier tonight, and it's afforded us to get this out. And this is the episode where we're going to talk about some video games.
Yeah.
We kept saying it, we kept teasing, we kept promising it. Our Indian fan base has been clamouring for this, and now finally we've got some video games to talk about. Can't guarantee they've all been released this decade, but we always try to give our impressions of the games that we can. Before we dive into those, I will plug Patreon just again. It's patreon.com/idle game chat, and you can go there and pledge to our cause and help build one of the Dimp Digital empires up. From the ground up, this is year zero of Idle Game Chat, so you can get in at the ground level. And if you stay a member, who knows what rewards that might reap later on down the line. Probably nothing, but that's the way it goes. Right, let's not waste time. We've got a packed episode. We've got games. That's what they kept saying to us, didn't they? These platform odds. It's all about the games. And they talked to us about UIs and shit like that. And we're like, fuck off. We want to see what we're playing on these things. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Cool.
A remastered bundle of the infamous... Go on.
There was going to be dog shit. After his debacle of was it the HD remake?
Yep.
And then 5.
I
was like, why has he been allowed to make another game?
Yeah, because it's Tony sitting there doing it all himself. He's like an indie studio.
Yeah.
He sits there. And to be honest, you're quite right, because you mentioned the poorness of the latest Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games that have come out, and I was concerned because the remaster was somewhat of a joke. And 5 was just diabolical by all accounts. So when I heard they were remaking and remastering or whatever they've done, it's a remake, to be honest, of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. My first thought, in all honesty, was I wish it was number 3, because the dirty little secret is for me that 3 is my favourite. Like, I played that game for hours on end. I think I clocked it with every single character that was on there and all the bonus characters. Cool. So I think you could unlock Darth Vader or Darth Maul or something like that. It's something like there's all sorts of craziness. But,
I did have 3.
But 3 was the one I liked because although I enjoyed 1 and 2, I played much more of 1 than I did 2. I'll tell you what used to wind me up when I was younger, because it was like 98 times, so just wee nippers then, is that fucking 2-minute time limit.
Yeah, remember that from renting it from Londies.
Yeah.
Remember that in the Astro?
Yeah.
Remember renting it from there and having that too. Fucking took it back to whatever his name was. And fucking hell, mate.
It's too hard.
2 minutes. Can't even get to the other end of the fucking high school in 2 minutes, mate.
Yeah. So that's why 3 was my favourite, and I kind of always gravitate towards that. But nonetheless, I was kind of pleased to be just seeing this getting another go at it, hoping that it was gonna come out well. Before I reveal too much, any history really for Tony Hawk? I mean, you mentioned there that you'd rented it, but was that the only exposure you had to it? And did you play any of the later ones and become a fan of it, or was it not really something that you?
Yeah. No, I was a big skateboarder when I was a kid. I say kid, more a young teen. I'd have been probably like year 6, maybe year 6. How old were we there? 15, 14, 15. I used to go skateboarding around Wakeford. I was a skateboarder. So yeah, I was very much into the Tony Hawk series then. I remember, I think I only played 1 and 2. 3, I think I had, but didn't play much of 3.
Right, yeah.
Sort of dropped off then. I then kicked back in, was it the Underground series?
Yeah, Thug,
that was it. At the Underground series. 1 and 2, I think, was it? And then was it Wasteland was the next one after that?
Was one, yeah.
Wasteland, that was the last one I had. I had that and was like, yeah, this is dead for me.
You started a bit later and run later than me. I actually got to 3 and then never picked up another one after that. I played Underground round a mate's a couple of times, but I just never committed to buying it.
The only reason I played the Wasteland one was because it was like an easy 1000G. It was like a trophy hunting thing. So I was like, right. And then I just realised how poor it was. And then I think Skate started to come out.
Yeah.
And then that sort of shifted there. But yeah, I loved 1 and 2. I used to play that a lot. I can't remember what I had and completed. I used to try and complete everything. Probably not as 100%, but I used to play it a lot. Loved the music. I haven't bought it yet. I do plan on buying it. But haven't myself, so I'll be asking you a lot of questions this time.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, the high-level cliff notes of this is that it's a really good remake, like authentic to like 1 and 2, and plays surprisingly well. Not I'm saying surprisingly, but they've not made any, as far as I could tell, any tweaks really to the gameplay. They've tried to get it as close as possible. And the biggest takeaway is that the game they made back in the day was fucking solid as a rock, because it's still fun to play that game in 2020. So the actual gameplay and the mechanics and how you can blend the tricks and whatnot, they definitely... It's no fucking luck that they sold as much as they did, because they were fun to play and they're still fun to play now. Yeah. And
very arcadey compared to like Skate and that, which was a good thing in its benefit, you know. Too simulatory, and then you're getting on your ass because you keep falling off the ball.
Yeah, it's definitely an arcade. I remember Biff was like not interested. He was a Thrasher Skate and Destroy kind of guy, which is more of a sim. This is not that. This is pure, you know, Tony Hawk's arcade, and it kind of leans into that nicely and whatnot. But they've done a really good job of keeping it authentic. It looks fantastic. Looks like a 2020 game. You wouldn't be querying what era this come from. And they've kind of brought it into the modern area a little bit. So there's pro skateboarders from today that are in the game. The soundtrack has a lot of the tracks, or if not most of the old tracks from 1 and 2, but they've got some modern tracks muddled in there as well, and you can choose which ones you want on and off, so you can turn off the new ones if you want. There's kind of like what they call it the Pro Skater Tour or whatever it is. That's where you do like finding the tapes, getting skate, all that sort of stuff, and you unlock the new skate parks and levels through that. And then they've got like a full robust sort of online mode as well, where you can play different game modes, which I didn't really dabble in too much. But yeah, I mean, for what it is, it's got Create a Skater, Create a Park, so those that like that, and it's obviously implemented leaderboards and bits and pieces.
I haven't seen it myself. I did. Dan Clark was playing it, and I saw it. He was playing it on PC, so I saw it on the glorious Master Race, and it did look fantastic.
Yeah.
What I did hear, I haven't seen it myself, is that they've sort of updated the levels as well, like the school level. It's as if it's been like closed because of a pandemic or something.
Yeah, there's definitely changes to the kind of like the theme of some of the levels, and one of the other ones I noticed it in was the mall. Like, from memory, the mall was like open, and it felt like it was still alive. Whereas in this one, it's been, like you mentioned there, like almost like it's been shut down. So they've made stylistic choices, and I think they're mostly for the better. I mean, they've added a hell of a lot of detail to these levels that were pretty barren before. When you see them side by side, there's not a lot going on, but they've got obviously the power these days to add far more detail there. So they have taken some liberties, but as far as I can tell, the geometry and where things are placed are as they were. It's simply a case of they may have changed like the atmosphere of a certain level and added a bit more of a new spin on it, I guess. But I don't know if it's necessarily a pandemic related thing or whether it's or whether it's just luck or unlucky that they decide to go for that style for a couple of the levels on there.
Interesting. You said music's the same.
Yeah.
More or less the same, because that was like a big thing. Like when people talk about like their best soundtracks in games, Tony Hawk's is always one of them.
Yeah. It's got Superman on there, and that's the one that matters.
That's it.
That's like the loading screen opening. So you can sit there and listen to it on that. And I think I don't really like the modern tracks, and I'm like 80 times more familiar with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 than I am with 2. For whatever reason, I just didn't play 2 as much. But when you hear like a classic track on 1, there's nothing better than that. When you hear that crack on it really does just sort of teleport you back for that brief moment back to 98, 99, those early years of the PS1 and putting in the hours to that. And I've got nothing really bad to say about it in that sense. I think they've captured the originality that the old school ones had, brought it to 2020, and it doesn't look out of place with today's tech and today's standards. It really is a testament to how strong the original game was, and zero really small complaints other than I just prefer Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, and that some people haven't liked some of the fiddling they have done, so those who are purists might not get on with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 because they added manuals which were not in Pro Skater 1 but were in Pro Skater 2. So that's where you can sort of link like your grind to a flip trick or whatever and then manual for a little while. And they added the revert system from 3 into these as well. So that's when you're getting there, you're going up a vert ramp and you hit the ramp coming down, you hit R2 and you'll do like a switch, and then you can go into a manual and carry on the combination. So gameplay-wise, it makes a lot of sense because it lets you link tricks together. But I did see people complaining, saying, well, it's not like what the originals were. And I was like, yeah, but it makes the game so much more fluid and probably easier because that's such a powerful tool. But I enjoyed the hell out of having that. And I would have felt out of place not having it because of the hours I put into Pro Skater 3. It's just a natural occurrence for me to use that and leverage that. And that's about the only thing the major change I guess they've made that I noticed. Yeah.
How's the performance of it? Is it
beautiful? Yeah, I played it on PS4 Pro. Other than the jet engine, which is not the game's fault,
no, it
was running fine. Had no hitches, had no problems, had no crashes. It was flawless, smooth as silk. And the only problem I had with the PS4, and this is a very PS4 specific problem, I'm going to get the controller out as well, just so I can illustrate it to myself. Right, so when I'm playing these, one thing you'll notice about when you play this game is that's one of the few games that I really had to fucking hammer this controller with. And you get, because it requires such quick kind of like changes, and you don't know you're doing it until you fucking hear it on like a recording. I was recording some gameplay, I left the external mic on, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? Sounds like I'm going mental. But where the touchpad is, it's a big fucker, isn't it? Right in the middle. Yeah. My thumb, and this is something I do in other games as well, when it requires a bit of like high, stress or high level of like changing and versatility, my thumb would slip off and hit that, and the command in the game would be to load up a little sidebar profile, and you'd lose control of your skater, and it'd just be like you're not playing anymore. So about a dozen times that happened, and it's not the game's fault, it's not the controller's fault, it's just my clumsiness, but that's the one thing that took me out of it a few times, and I was a bit like, oh, you bastard. I was onto a really good combo there, and you've just fucking shit all over me.
I could see that would get on your gripe. Yeah. But these remakes, they seem to be
it's the way
doing
forward.
Well. It's the way forward. Stop these remasters.
Yeah. I mean, my manifesto would be this. You go PS4. So say we're playing the PS5 now. This is the rule. This is what should be put into gaming law. Anything PS4 is just forward compatible onto your PS5. So it'll work. Your PS5 will play your PS4 games, and you'll get a nice free upgrade with ray tracing and other bells and whistles. Thank you.
Yep.
PS3. Now we know what a pig that architecture is.
Yeah.
We know it's just a blower, basically. It ain't going to get backwards compatible. And to be honest, a lot of those games looked a bit grubby anyway when you go back and look at them. So what you do with those, you get a remaster out. You get an Uncharted collection. You get a Last of Us remaster. That level of remaster, put that on the PS5. So you get nice frames, spruce it up, looks nice. Anything older than that gets a remake like this. Love and attention put into it. Keep it, the same or change it depending on the game, and then flash it out, and you can either end up with something like this, which is a bit of a hybrid that stays faithful to the old game but plays exactly the same, or we get stuff like Resident Evil 2 where it's a remake of an old game but it plays completely differently, and that's for anything older than PS2 and PS1, and just apply that to any game if it was on Xbox or whatever and just use the years. That's my manifesto.
That's it. Yeah, I agree with that. You got Mafia has just been released. Prince of Persia's coming in the new year.
Oh, I don't know how much love and care has been put into that one. That didn't look great. It'd be heartbroken if that's not up to snuff.
Oh, that's up to... Yeah, that's true. Metal Gear is the rumour this week.
Hey, I know Metal Gear Solid just a couple of weeks back released on GOG.
Oh, yeah,
so
GOG.
You can get it on that. I imagine it will come to Steam, but to be fair, GOG have been known to have older games that don't play on other platforms like on there, so maybe they've actually put some work in. But that was one part of the rumour, was that was getting re-released, 1 and 2, so thank you. A remake of 1 would be great. That would be superb. Best news of the year. The only one that concerns me is how we're going to get Metal Gear Solid 4 off this PS3.
That's the thing, yeah, that's going to be a toughie. That needs some sort of
So I want the
remaster.
saga somewhere. I want 1 to 5, Ground Zeroes, and what was that other one? That one that started off on the Vita.
Not Paul Bops, Peace Walker.
Peace Walker. I always want a collection I can buy on one platform with all those games in it. The Metal Gear Solid saga.
They did one on PS3, I think, didn't they? They did up 1 to 4.
Yeah.
With Peace Walker included. The Legacy Edition, I think it was called. But
yeah, you can't fucking play that now because it's on PS3.
No. And it's digital version of PlayStation 1 Metal Gear Solid, but get that remaster in.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I will give it 1 thumb up. Easy.
Easy, lovely.
It's a great game. If you're pining for a bit of Tony Hawk's, or even if you've not played it before, jump on this. It was a bit cheaper. I think it was £30 UK. So
I was going to say, yeah. Was it?
You can't be.
I was going to say it's not full price. Yeah, I think it's definitely one I'll pick up once. I think, but deciding if I'm keeping these consoles or not.
That's it. Well, one game, maybe one of the swan songs for your PS4. Will be Marvel's The Avengers. Now we actually did. I think we did a whole episode on the beta that you played.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did a sort of first impressions as well.
That's it. Yeah, I ended up playing up until you unlock the war table on the beta.
Yeah,
and I couldn't go any further. I was done. So I didn't. When the game was coming out, I was like, you know what? That's one that can wait till next gen. If indeed that needs to be what needs to happen. I must say, since its release, I was shocked to see the reviews coming in and tumbling. Like it ended. I don't know what it is now. Last time I checked, it was like a 60-something. 68 on OpenCritic.
68, I think it is still now.
So the question off the bat is, you seemed like you was quite positive on the beta.
Yeah.
Where is this 68 coming from? Is it warranted, or are people being a bit too harsh?
Yeah, no, is it what you just said then? You're going to wait for a update or PS5 thing? That is exactly what is needed.
Right.
I do not recommend people buying this game as of yet.
Cool. I think crapped on them.
But let me start off. So I can't really remember what I discussed last time on my first impression. I think it was near the end of the campaign. I think I can vaguely remember. So yeah, sitting at a 68. So I finished the campaign, and I was I was happy with it. I was like, it has performance issues, which are how it's been let out the door is beyond me. Like, they are atrocious. I've had bugs where I've had to reset. The frame rate goes down to about 15.
There was a bug, wasn't there, where it was people were falling through the floor,
That's
and it was checkpointing as they were falling, and then it was game breaking.
I think, most sessions I played, I think I had to sort of go back to a checkpoint and restart a mission a few times.
Jesus.
At least once or twice a session. It was that bad. It is poor. But the campaign, I would say, is decent. I think if would have made this game as just a campaign, had it a linear story like it is, polished it up, left it in the fucking oven for a few more months to get all the fucking shit out of it, and that was it. Cut it off. Trouble is, it's a short campaign. I think it's probably about 10 to 12 hours long, which I don't know. I was going to say, there's games out there that are certainly, when you look at those Resident Evils, I think that last one I completed in about 6 hours.
Oh yeah, 3 was well short. And Doom Eternal I've just finished. We'll get into that. That weren't much longer.
That weren't over long. So maybe I'm not too bad. So I think if they would have just put it as that was it, an action RPG game, adventure bollocks, and that was it, just that campaign, I think that would have been a lot better than what they've decided to do. I think what they've decided to do on paper sounds brilliant. Like the fact that they can bring in these superheroes. Sorry. Yeah. They can pull anyone from their fucking catalogue of Marvel heroes. Ongoing live service game this is.
Yes.
So on paper, you sit there and you think, fucking, that's incredible, the stuff they can do. They can, pull from any arc in the comics, any characters, meld them together. You can choose who you want to be. But for me, that is just a second that campaign was finished and it became a live service game.
Yeah.
It's where it just fell down the shit pan for me. It was just repetitive. It was just repetitive crap. You're playing the same missions.
Sounds like Destiny.
Yeah, it did become Destiny, basically. It is just a Destiny game. It is literally Destiny, but it's where the game becomes so repetitive. At least with Destiny, you had like the loot the whole purpose of the game is the loot. And you get the best loot.
Yeah.
And at least in Destiny, the loot was worth getting. You had different guns, so you actually had visual loot. This is all just stat based. There's nothing whatsoever changes. You don't gain anything. It's just all numbers and perks. And unless you're a Sir Dave who knows how all these combination works, what you need for each person, and all these stat buffs you get, he knows what's the best and best. Unless you're one of those guys, it's fucking redundant to me. So I'm just literally leveling it up for the sake of it. I don't know why, but I did ended up sticking at least 50 hours into this and giving the end game a good sort of seeing to. And I got Thor, who was my main, people say. I got him up to max level, so I am the highest you can get.
What level
for no reason. Level 50, that is, and my power level's just under the max. The way it works is annoying. Yeah, I should still, but it's just so tedious. I've got no interest in doing it. I just wanted to get one character up there because it was a trophy for it. But
would it have been better with others? Could that have salvaged it if there was 3 others that you could have done it?
I think I would have enjoyed it more, but it's the game itself. It's the performance issues, the fucking bugs. They've just, I think it was last week, they released a patch. It was 10.5 gig, and it addressed 1,000 different bugs. And it still runs like pixel. How they've patched 1,000 bugs, and it's still poor, and it's how that's been let out the gate is unbeknown. But taking that aside, and the live service, the shit loot, the repetitive missions, there is like a solid almost like a spine that makes this game a sort of potential. They can either go two ways. They can patch the shit out of this, stick it on next gen, and fucking get those performance issues out, make it nice, clean, and smooth, which will certainly enhance it. And they need to add stuff that's worth it. I think they need to completely change their loot system, to be honest, which is a big overhaul. Or they can just blow it and it becomes another Anthem, which a lot of these games seem to do. But
funny that you bought Anthem as well.
Yeah, I seem to be
getting sucked into these Destiny games, even though you didn't like Destiny that much.
No, that's right. No, I quite liked Anthem as well, but I thought a similar sort of thing. It had the potential, but was just done so shit. And I think even they realise now, and they're like, right, well, we need to scrap this and make a second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the campaign itself, I urge people to play this and play the campaign, because I think it's a good story and it has its moments. Like when I'm playing the campaign, it feels like the Destiny feature isn't there so much. You are, it's in the background, you're doing the leveling up, but it's not about that at all. It's just going through a story, and it feels like you're playing like a Tomb Raider game because it's done by Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, I mean, that's good that they've put the effort into the campaign, because so often you see with these service games is that the campaign is just a means to an end to get you to a certain level, to get you onto the end game. But the positive thing that's come out of this, reading the reviews and watching the coverage, is the campaign. They've actually done a good job, and they've put some care and effort into it, and it tells a pretty good Avengers tale, which is all you can ask for sometimes out of these games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got everything. It's got the AAA aspect of it. You've got these big set pieces in there, but there's one scene where it's like a typical sort of Tomb Raider thing, where you're sort of running from a building, then the whole world's crumbling down, and it's one of those amazing cinematic things. But the fucking frame rate just tanks, and it'll just take out the experience, because it's just appalling how bad it is. And you think, this looks fucking quality if it can run at a 30 frames per second, but it fucking can't.
No, so that's a real shame. That's a real shame on the performance front.
It is, because I think that would, if it had the performance issues, I think it would be a 75-ish. It can get up to that. I think that's how pivotal the performance issues are. Like I say, the second that campaign's done, though, that's when the sort of live service takes over. And, with these type of games, I assume they expect this sort of thing at the beginning, because they are always light and they add to it. But this is fucking light. Like, there's a few things you can do. You're repeating the same missions. It's the same enemies every time. It's these robots thing. I think you mentioned that was a big gripe.
Yeah.
So there's every now and again you'll get a new element type one that sets you on fire, one that freezes you, that sort of bollocks electrics. But that's it. There's no variation in what they do. Some have shields. You don't come across a different race of thing or anything. No. It's and like I say, it's the same missions that you do, just going through the same environments, tackling the same objectives, and you just rinse and repeat. That is literally it until you get up to a level, a max level I've done. I go, right, yeah, excellent, I'm max level, and there's fuck all there for it. There's no raid yet, which I think is in the pipeline. You have specific character tailored missions.
It's a better word. Come out of a better one.
There we go. You get and that's what they're going to do. They're called iconic missions, I think they were called.
Okay.
So you have like a couple for each, the 6 heroes that you have in the game, and then they're adding ones. I think there's some coming next week or in the next few weeks. And you'll have a little bit of story to do, and then again it will just be pumping, rinse and repeat again. So it's a real sort of fucking why, because it has the potential. It's a good structure for a game. Like, it's perfect for the world is already set. Like with Destiny, that was a completely new IP. We didn't know what the fuck's going on. So with this, what they could do. They could pull this character in. They could do this story arc. But they've just chucked it, because at the core of it, the gameplay loop it's fucking shit.
Yeah.
It's just boring, monotonous, and there's no sense of working to anything. There's not like at least with like in Destiny, you had like Sir Dave used to tell us about like the best exotic weapons.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, oh fucking, I hope I get something like that.
Galahorn, was it a Galahorn?
Exactly, the Galahorn, yeah, or the fucking God knows, I can't remember what they were called now. But with this, it's just these set random pieces you get that have little buffs and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I say, there's nothing visible. You unlock skins, which is quite fun. That's done through a sort of like a battle pass system. You don't pay. I think there are microtransactions for mech stuff, but this is like a battle pass type system that you just get from playing. And that's the only way. You only really unlock a few. I've been playing for about 50 hours, and I've probably only got I don't know, 6 costumes out of about 20 or something. And again, you have 6 characters, and you can only level 1 up at a time.
Yeah.
So that's taken me 50 hours odd to get 4 up to max level. I've then got to do that again for the other 5 heroes if I wanted to get everyone up to max level.
Do you know if the platinum is reliant on all characters being leveled up to max level?
It's not. There's one. I think it could be, because there's one trophy that says, get a max score of about a level of 250. So what's that? So that's 5. That's getting 5 of your heroes up to level 50. So you got to get the most of them. Yeah, so pretty much. And there's a lot of hard trophies in it where it's stuff that basically you need other characters for. So it's like, I mentioned it in the last chat about one of the things you can do is like a wave-based sort of horde mode.
Yeah.
Called harm rooms. Self-harm rooms. And you have different levels you can do that. So you have challenge difficulty. I think it's like 2 to 5, is it? So I was only doing it on 2. But there's like trophies for doing it on level 5, which is fucking on your own is bollocks, because that AI is pretty good. They help you out. They get you up when you're downed. But they're took when it comes to the real fucking dig deep parts, they just get down. You're like, fucking hell. So you'll need 4 of your real compadres playing this, and pretty sure I'm the only one that's bought it out of our circle of friends.
Yeah, I think certainly within the Dimp realm, and then I don't know if it's anyone outside of that your way, but I've not bumped into anyone else that's got it. And you'd think, being Avengers, it'd pull a few people in that don't really... That
was it, yeah. I sort of played through the beta. I sort of, I knew what I was getting myself. I wasn't expecting this to be a fucking 10 out of 10 game. I said to myself, if this is a 7.5, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And it weren't. It was below that. So... But it's like I said, I think the reason I like buying these games, same with Anthem, is, well, not so much fucking that, but you feel like, all right, I've bought myself a 7.5 or 6.8.
Yeah.
I bought myself that game, but that's it. It's not like that's it and it's done now. I've lost my money. I'm never going to play it again. This is something I could pick up in a month, 2 years down the line. When you look at something like Battlefront 2, that came out, that was fucking trodden on and fucking went through the ringer deservedly because it was shit. I think I saw a review the other week, random one pop for a 2020 version of it, and it got a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, they can be recovered. They can be turned around and recovered, these games. So it's not over till it's over.
No, so it's not got over. But like I say, it's just such a weird. It's almost as if this is in 2 parts. This game, it really does feel like that. It feels like there was sort of the devs were like divided. One wanted to make this fucking AAA blockbuster action adventure game, and the other ones wanted to make a live service, because the second that campaign cuts off and the next part of the game kicks in, it feels like such a sap. It's a shame, because there is something there. It just the shit outweighs the good, unfortunately.
Pain in the bloody arse. Well, it's in 2 parts. We're saying good and the bad. How does that translate into a thumbs up or down or in the middle recommendation?
So I think I'm going to have to go with 1 thumb down. Yeah, really shit on it.
Marvel's origin story, shit on
the bed. It's, if they keep this as a big if it's going to go for the Destiny thing, you know, what was their 10-year plan or whatever, then the sort of footholds there.
Yeah.
But they just, I think they should just release this campaign as a separate entity, and then I think they'd have a lot more luck with it.
Yeah.
I really do think it's strong enough for someone to play. Like, I think if they just did that as a game on its own, I think I would recommend people to play that, because there's something there. But yeah, the shit outweighs the bad, so I'm afraid it's going to have to be a one thumb down for me.
Well, sometimes that happens in life, and maybe they'll get round to fixing it and sorting it and doing all that good stuff. But
yeah, they seem, like I say, 10 gig patches are popping up each week, and there's a few updates are coming in the next couple of months. They've already confirmed they're going to upgrade it to PS5, so you've got to hope that's a better thing, seeing as the tech will be better for them to optimize. You know, I think maybe their ambition for this was a bit too high for the last remaining weeks of the PS4.
Yeah.
So maybe it should have been a PS5 game all along. And
entirely possible.
Yeah, it's possible. But I bought it on PS4 because they got the Spider-Man coming now as well, haven't they? So
it's all free, isn't it? That stuff.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it. It's not like where Destiny they bring out the game and then all of a sudden you've got these fucking 6 season passes you got to get.
And they start everything that they've released now.
That's it. Yeah. Now at least they've said all new characters and missions and that will be free. So we just got to wait for it now.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an investment, but
at least maybe it'll give you something to go back to. Like if it does like an iconic little campaign for Spider-Man like that.
Yeah.
That might be what it needs, and by then it may well have cleaned itself up performance-wise, and
that's
you can dip in and out.
And then it'd be worth picking up.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get an update come next gen, I'd imagine.
But I've got to judge it on how it is now, and it's one thumb down for me.
Fair enough. Well, one game that you thought very highly of earlier on in the year was Doom Eternal. Yes. So the sequel to the 2016 kind of a reboot of Doom.
Yes, definitely.
You gave it a 9.5 and was doing the old scoring system. So would that have translated to 2 thumbs up in today's world?
Yes, it's got to, isn't it? Unless you're saving that for strictly 10 out of 10s. But I don't know. I think
your thumbs, mate. You can put them where you want.
I'll put them up. I'd go 2 thumbs up with that. I felt it was, for a sequel, I thought it was something that was so good. It's hard. Yeah. This is my worry about God of War 2. Right. I think like that remake, again, a similar situation. You had this complete remake, and it was phenomenal. And I think how they're going to do that again. And I had that with Doom. I thought Doom 2016 was fucking brilliant. I thought fantastic, perfect length, high intensity.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that again without it being just another 10 hours of the same shit? And that was my expectation going in, thinking, not sure about this. I was blown away by playing it, like just how the little they added, but how it changed.
Yeah.
Like especially not even just in terms of gameplay, also like the way they've added the like home world that you have. You never had anything like that in a Doom game.
No,
and
Fortress
just how
of Doom.
Fortress of Doom, that was it, and how it added like a new aspect of. Didn't just become a ripping and tear experience. It's now a search and collect.
Yeah.
So you've got like you running around looking for these lives, these little teddy bears, trying 100% levels like it's Tony Hawk.
I was, yeah. And the sickener is, I didn't even 100% all of Tony Hawk's levels because some of them were I couldn't figure out where some of the stuff was. But I've got everything unlocked at least. That's sort of how I'd always judge my success on Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 because they were too fucking hard. But yeah, Doom Eternal. I'm glad I finally got round to playing this because not only have I been putting it off all year, I'd also, once you'd lent it to me, took me fucking about 4 weeks to get my arse in gear and get it done. It's on Game Pass now, so if you've got Game Pass, you can play this now. And the recommendation off the cuff is do it. Like especially if you enjoyed 2016, you're only going to find good things to find in Doom Eternal.
That is one thing. There could be a cut audience in this for the people out there that don't like heavy metal and think that screamy, shouty music. This could be a turn off. This game for you.
It used to, like, I played it earlier, and I was a bit hungover this morning, and I finished playing. And when I was playing it, I was fine. I was like switched on. You need to be switched on playing this game. Like, it does ask quite a lot of the player in terms of knowing your surroundings is one thing. Where things are and who's in your way, that also matters because that dictates the tactics.
Would not recommend playing this after having a lovely big joint.
No, definitely not.
Imagine being stoned off your nut trying to play this.
Half, I reckon. It'd be unbelievable. Yeah. And then I come off it and I was so tired. I was like physically exhausted. I was like, Christ, that's really taxing me, that game. But I finished it off earlier today, and it was great. It was, in some ways, especially for a first-person shooter, like, it's a really good sequel, really, really well thought out. It's not just more the same. Well, it is, the DNA of it is, but they do
the DNA,
enough, much more to make you a bit more strategic, as strategic as you can be when you're running around like headless chicken trying to avoid demons and blow them away. But you do find that I felt like I was working a lot more mentally, juggling all the different enemy types and who I need to take out first, what the weak points are, how I can attack them. Like, most of the demons, like the higher end ones, have like a weak point that you can attack with certain weapons. Then you've obviously got your armor and your health, which you can get from gore killing people to get your health, which is fine. But then to get your armor, you have to set them on fire, and then if you kill them whilst you're doing that, you get extra armor. Like, it sounds a lot, and to be honest, it is a lot. But they kind of introduce the necessity for you to be advanced at it at, I think, quite a reasonable pace. Like, I didn't get to a point where I suddenly thought the difficulty went up too high. Like, sometimes you hit walls in these games that require, like, when you got to just go to that next level of strategy, and this felt really natural to me. And the collectibles and all the exploring that you can do on the levels, I thought was fantastic. I think I have 100%ed three or four levels completely. Like, did all the extra challenges. I did all the Slayer gates, which I was quite happy to get through those. And there's very little bad to say about it. The mechanics are solid. The only thing really that I feel like stopped this from being like really top draw is I would have actually quite happily gone back and found everything. But when you go back to an older level on a mission select, it basically just replays the mission with the cutscenes, and the enemies are in the same place, and you can't fast travel around the map. No. So what I would have liked, because at the end of each level you get a chance to fast travel, and that's kind of like your opportunity to go back and, I guess, clear all this stuff up. But I wanted to do it after the fact, and when you go back to the mission select, you have to just play through the level again. And I was like,
some of them are quite a length, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
It does take a little while. I've done in
like half an hour, and then some that took like nearly 2 hours. Like, what is going on here? But that's the main gripe I had, is that if they just give me the option, once the level's completed, that I can just teleport to a certain area. I'm not even that fussed about the enemies being there again, to be honest, but I just don't want to have to start from like if the collectibles at the end of the level and then work my way all the way through it again. If the fast travel's there whilst you're already playing the game, then in my view it should have been there when you go back as well. So they added the extra live system as well, which, to be honest, I thought was a bit shit to start with, but in the end it saved me arse, because I would have really struggled to get through that without the extra lives. And I don't know if it's a loophole or not, but I was asking you the other night about whether you can stack extra lives. So each level will have maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 extra lives that you can pick up. And basically what it means is, if you've got one of them in your inventory and you die, rather than it restarting the entire encounter from the beginning or the last checkpoint, you'll just revive and you have 100% health, and you keep going. So if you kill 2/3 of the wave, you don't lose your progress. That's the main thing. And you can actually stack these, so you can go through a mission, get 4, go through another mission, get another 4, you'll have 8, and they'll dwindle as you die inevitably. But you can retrospectively go back via the mission select and stack them that way. So I spent an hour on the Friday Just doing that, I went to a level that had 2 really easy ones to get, because like one mission where you can almost like walk through it, and I'll then come out of the mission, reload, and I did it until I got 50 lives. And then I'd like, I think I had 4 or 5 levels left, and I was like, about 10 a level, that seems about fair. And I got to the end of the game, and I think I had 22 left, so I'd squandered a lot of them. But that in itself was, I felt like I was cheating a bit, but I was like, well, the game's letting me do it. Like, it's not it's been out long enough for it to be patched out as well, so I'm guessing it's kind of encouraged, because
I think
later on in the game it gets so hard.
It does, doesn't it? You just get bombarded. I remember playing those last couple of levels and just thinking, how is this amount of enemies on screen attacking me at once?
It's a permadeath mode as well.
Is that? I think there might be.
There is one, yeah. I was like, Jesus.
That's it. Yeah, there's some.
One. But,
absolute hard ones, but no, it was just so intense, like you say, demanding, and I just think anything they enhanced, even they made sort of the Doomslayer more of a character.
Yeah, we get to see the Doomslayer. He even says a couple of words during the campaign, like you get to see him. Like, yeah, it's not just the first-person perspective. Like you get to see him wandering around in some cutscenes, and what I really liked, one of the key things that I really did like about this, aside from like the gameplay being rock solid. I did have some performance issues actually when it really kicked off, and I remember I had about 8 demons right in my grill, and I set fire to them, threw 2 grenades down, and it blew them all up and killed them, and the frame rate just went and fucking dived. But it didn't cost me anything. But I was like, Christ, I really am pushing this game to its max. But what I appreciated, being like a bit of a story and lore whore, is the amount of effort they put into the story here. Not necessarily the story you're playing through is like got loads of twists and turns or anything like that, but they do a good job. If you want to read the codex, fleshing out sort of the Doomslayer from the original games almost, like they're clearly referencing stuff that's happened in previous legends and like building up his character. And I was quite interested reading through all those. I got the trophy for getting all the bloody readable bits, which I very rarely do. And I'm really interested to go and do some sleuthing and find out how it's linked and what the references to the first one and the second one all are, and kind of like put this picture together. I think they've done a great job of this.
I loved a lot of the in the tower. I think you found like his office, and the amount of sort of references, sort of Easter eggs within there. Just all backdating to the sort of lore and, like you say, the character when he first started.
Tons of unlockables, tons of secrets to find. Each level's got loads of secret bits and pieces that you can spend trying to get through. You then take them back to the Fortress of Doom, and you can see your little toys that you've collected, or the record, or the song soundtrack. You can play that, and there's like a little training room down there. It's great, really. Like I said, it's really, if they've made the clear down, in my opinion, easier for me, as in I can just teleport to a fast travel location, which is offered during the game. It would have been right up there with some of the best. But I mean, as a recommendation, I mean, you have to play it because it's on Game Pass. So get yourself involved on that. I'm torn.
Yeah, in my head, I think it's 2 thumbs up.
1 thumb up.
One thumb up.
Yeah, because that little gripe is annoying me thinking about it again. Like, annoying me at the potential. But really, you should play this if you haven't, especially if you played 2016. If you haven't played that, you should play that as well. Then play this. But don't do it the other way around, because I think you'll struggle. You won't. I don't think people realise the additions and the streamline they've done. It's just a much better game. And I don't know what they'll do for a third one if they're planning on one. But that DLC's arriving.
Got rid of the Mick Gordon, the chap that done the soundtrack.
Yeah, there was a bit of controversy about that. But
it's a couple of months after it, so we'll see. Because I've got to say, that has become a very almost iconic now, sort of that heavy metal. Even the theme tune. It
is really a rebirth, and they've done,
it is, isn't it?
And it's now that it's got its second entry and been critically acclaimed, and we both love it. They've done a great job with it, really.
And now it's in possession of Xbox.
Yes, don't fuck it up, Phil. You don't need to be doing anything with this. Just let them get on with it.
Yeah.
They'll be fucking laughing. Right, finish things off on a nice new game, Watch Dogs 2. I played this on PC.
Oh.
I haven't got too much to say really of Watch Dogs 2. I wanted to play it because Legion's coming out, and I was like, wanted to get up to date. And lo and behold, I don't know if there's going to be much connective tissue in there, but there's a little few references and nods to sort of London that appear throughout the game. So there's work being done. There's post-patch stuff that they've done as well. But I mean, overall, I remember getting Watch Dogs, the original, with Aidan Pierce and co, and being quite let down by it. The idea of it really intrigued me, but I think the execution wasn't there. And obviously we had all that. That was like the first game I remember getting the proper like downgrade gate, sort of expose people.
I remember it being a thing. I remember thinking it in the back of my head, thinking like these games never look as good as these trailers.
Yeah. And
I always just thought, it must be the same sort of game. And then I think that Watch Dogs was like the sort of realization that
breakthrough fucking shit house.
That's it. These E3 demos are sort of their own entity.
Yeah.
And then when they release the games, they have to undergo such graphical downgrades that it just feels like a different experience. And Watch Dogs was just, when you watch the comparison videos now to how much it was downgraded, it's really did put a sour taste in your mouth for that game.
Did you get that on PC?
I did, yes. I did,
Another Ubisoft special port.
It was an absolute stinker, I think, if I remember rightly. I think I got that and watched Far Cry 4, which were my last Ubisoft entries on PC.
There you go. Come full circle almost. But I enjoyed the first one, but it let me down a little bit. And then one of the reasons was it was just a bit boring. Like Aidan was fucking boring as fuck. And ironically, the little teaser we've had of him in Legion, he looks like a bit of a bad. I was like, actually, he looks more fleshed out than he was in fucking 30 hours of gameplay. And then Watch Dogs
takes a beard.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just put a beard on someone. Sort of done with old Marcus, made him into the grizzled veteran. But I actually enjoyed the change of city. Like, no dissing Chicago, but I'd rather visit San Francisco than Chicago. They obviously took some changes to the colour palette. There's actual colour in this particular game.
That's the thing as well. I found one was just like grey and brown.
Wet shit. Yeah. it was a shit house. So they've done the right things with Watch Dogs 2, and overall, this is like pure breakneck. Like, I think I did maybe 2 side quests. The rest was all like critical path stuff to get through it. And I must say, I enjoyed my time on it. I enjoyed playing it on the old PC, giving that a good workout. And not really nothing negative really to say, other than at times it got a bit repetitive. I liked some of the tools you had. Like I enjoyed building up the skill where you could call in a gang to come and kick off and start a ruckus. So I'd always do that, and sometimes I'd wipe the whole base out for me. And I'd be like, just walk straight in. It felt a bit clunky these days. It didn't feel as fluid as I was expecting.
No, and a lot of the parkour sort of he used as well.
Yeah, and the sticky cover sometimes got me. I got caught out a couple of times. The stealth.
What was his main weapon? I was like the pull ball on the the 8
mad balls, I think they call it. Yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's more of a service to get to Watch Dogs Legion. I'm kind of glad I played Watch Dogs 2 because it's definitely an improvement on the original. So I think if you were put off by the first one, then Watch Dogs 2 might be worth a sniff.
Yeah, very good one to start with, to be honest. Likeable character, very bright and colourful. Solid performance, not blowing your socks off though.
No,
I'd say.
No, one of the things I enjoyed was it actually had, like, when you go from like A to B, you travel. There was one. I remember there was one conversation. This is very GTA-esque, where Marcus and that fella with the fucking weird mask that all the shit on it.
Yeah.
They were just chatting amongst themselves, like, over the radio, about what film franchise is better between Aliens or Predator. And it went on for about 2.5 minutes, this conversation, but it was like, yeah, that's the sort of conversations I have with with people. And then the conversation just derided into like, oh, what about out of the Alien films? Is it the original, like Ridley Scott's or Cameron's, David Cameron, or Cameron's version? And they were just like having like genuine sort of chatter. Yeah.
I've only just got there.
I don't know why he's on my repertoire straight away, but there you go. But I just appreciated the little bit of development pieces they did and just making them a little bit more human. It's a much more light-hearted theme of the game. There wasn't like doom and gloom with like nieces dying and weird shit like that. It's like a couple of moments, but the overall tone of it was much, much lighter. And yeah, it was. I'm looking forward to see Legion, how they. Because on Watch Dogs 1 and 2, like the city is still operating as like a free city almost, just that your data is all being collected and your privacy is being fucking abused, basically. It looks like in Legion that London is being controlled by a bit of a negative force, you know, and it's quite in people's faces.
Yeah.
So I think it's Albion or something like that they're called.
Albion, that's it. Yeah, it seemed quite similar to the group that was in Avengers, AIM.
Yeah.
That same sort of thing, sort of security robots sort of taking over. But yeah.
So it's a good little palate cleanser, good to get myself started, and probably Watch Dogs 2, I'd say 1 thumb up. I'll give that.
Thumb up, yeah, I'm agreeing.
I mean, this is the trouble with the thumbs up one, because Doom Eternal is a much better game, but there you go.
Yeah.
That's what happens when we generalise like this. But nothing really wrong with Watch Dogs 2. I think if you hated the first one, this won't change your mind. But if you saw potential in it and just wanted a better setting and better characters and a bit more refined gameplay, Watch Dogs 2 is a good place to go into. Probably worth doing before Legion if you plan to get that anyway. But
yeah, I've seen it for free for a few sites. I think.
Yeah, I got it off the Uplay store for free, and it was on Epic. So
that's right.
A few people will have this in their libraries and haven't played it. So I think it was on Game Pass.
Being a PS, I was going to say, yeah, I think it'll be on Game Pass or Gold. I can see it being a Gold or PS Plus game soon, just to get people hyped for free.
Yeah. It's on PS Now as well at the moment. So if anyone's signed up to that service that PlayStation do, it is on there. People can play it, but that's that. That's a bit of Tony Hawk's, a bit of Avengers, a bit of Doom Eternal, and Marcus from Watch Dogs 2 gets to close the show. So we finally got to talk about some games.
There you go. We got it in the locker.
What's an insight? And so we've mentioned What Remains of Edith Finch. Is that?
Yeah, I've been starting that. I started a lot of games this weekend.
Oh.
I think it's because it's coming to the end of the console cycle now. I just sort of want to I was always scared to put new games in.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have blank trophies or achievements for ages.
Yeah.
So if I put a game in, I want to play it and get some trophies. But this sort of weekend, I've sort of threw those ideas out the window and I've just been playing little snippets of little games.
Right.
So I've been playing Ruiner.
Yep.
Which is a sort of top-down. It's almost like plays a lot like Metal Slug. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But it plays like that, but it's a cyberpunk game, but based like a cyberpunk futuristic game set made by Devolver. So it's got that sort of Hotline Miami ilk.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I played that for a little while. I also jumped on Ori and what was the first one? Something about the woods, wasn't it? Blind Forest, that's it. Jumped back into that. I played a little bit of that just to see how it feels. I want to get that done so I can move on to the second one.
Yeah.
I also played Edith Finch. That I swear there was another game. Oh, and started Mafia 3.
Yep.
So I had a little hour of that, to which I was pretty appalled. The story in that
story's really good. Yeah, story's really good.
Really, I really like that they sort of Hangar 13 give you a little sort of public service announcements before you start, sort of saying that there is some strong racism in this game.
Yeah.
They feel it was their job to keep this in because this is the story we want to tell. I really respect them for that.
Yeah, it's a great story, but you'll as you said, I think you mentioned a few performance issues, and
Yeah.
it suffers from that classic disease that's going around in games at the moment. And that's Bloatville, USA.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how much it is. Not really the sort of game that you do tend to have. I mean, was it Mafia 2? There's a few side quests on that, but certainly didn't overstay its welcome. So I'll be intrigued to see how I get on with this.
Yeah.
And Darksiders Genesis I also popped in as well. So really has been a TGX.
So there we go.
That's what we do. Come around my house and we have a little play of all different games. Just small demos. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'll be looking forward to getting some finalised impressions of at least a couple of those in the coming weeks and months before next gen kicks off properly. But I think for this episode, we'll call it to a close and let everyone get on with their lives. So nothing more for us to say apart from thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.